Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Jade, and this is How to App iOS. And it's Monday morning here in Australia, so that means it's time for the Rant.
The Rant.
The Rant. Perfection. Perfectly. Imperfect. Perfection. Tell us about it, Pete Johns.
Life isn't always fair, and everyone has their problems. It's easy to hide away and harder to find solutions. But I know this for sure, this ain't a dress rehearsal, so don't wait to see the sign. Life doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful. Life doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful, they say, but sometimes it feels that way. Not always win, and sometimes you lack direction, but you gotta stay the course, 'cause you're gonna face rejection, and you won't always know that there's a battle ahead. Sometimes the war is in your head. Life doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful. Life doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful. And I don't know what is left to say, 'cause sometimes you hide away and look back on your mistakes, but you cannot turn back time and make everything seem fine. So remember, life doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful. Life doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful. Life doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful. Life doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful. To be wonderful. To be wonderful.
Yes, Pete Johns right there. Life doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful. But boy, do our brains tell us it should, yeah? Hope you're all doing good. It's Monday morning here in Australia. It's that time of the week for the rant. Good to see so many of you here. Let me do some shouts and we'll get into the business here. Chris Lane, what's happening? Gary Hubbs, Cold Acre. Brad Example. I saw Moby Pixel in there as well. Scott Borthwick, Kim Harden Hudson, Conspiracy Music. Who else? The Falcro, pretending this is not an awesome song. You don't have to pretend. It is. Jenny, Barry, hope you've recovered from your birthday, Barry. Ali Strong, of course. My dear Brad Example, lurking around up the top there. Gary Hubbs just did his first live stream. Yeah, go on over and check out Gary Hubbs. He's doing live streams now. We love that. And good on you, Gary. Take it, the dive into the live stream world. Scott Borthwick, hello to you, my friend. Let me see. Make sure I've got as many of you as I can. I'm scrolling back up here as far as I can go. As far as the eye can see. Have I got all of you? If I've missed you, tell me in the chat. I'm a doofus. Let's see. Got you. I got you. That's all right, Gary. One sec. All right. If I've missed you, I'm going to scroll up on this chat. I've got chats everywhere. Princess LDG, who was here early, and who knows if she's still here or not, but we love our princess. All right. Welcome aboard. So, yes, the rant. Every day. I wish it was every day. I just got up and had no script and could just sit here and talk a load of nonsense. But it's not like that, is it? Because you know what? Life ain't perfect. Perfection. Today's featured artist, by the way, is continued Ladies Week. I might run Ladies Week for the next year. Is Kim Harden Hudson. There's always a method to my madness. I'll let that simmer. So, perfection. You know what's interesting? There's this thing, right, called the Mandela effect. And a lot of people think this thing's real. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people think this thing is like, but I remember this thing that happened, and I'm telling you, somebody went and changed it. Hello, Robbie. There's people out there who actually believe that the universe, or I don't know, the powers that be, or someone out there is actually changing the past. Like the Berenstein Bears, the spelling's name has changed around. The Ford logo has a new curly thing on it, and all these weird things that really, in the scheme of like life, wouldn't fucking matter. Why would anyone do that? But it's a phenomenon. It's a phenomenon where people think that they remember something to be as it is, but it's actually not. Because over time, our brains seem to get smoother and, dare I say, a little bit more stupider, right? Because we start out in nappies, shitting ourselves, unable to communicate except, mah! And then what happens is we get old and we end up unable to communicate, shitting ourselves. Okay? So the things we remember aren't always right. And perfection, the definition of perfection is one of those. Or has it been changed when we weren't looking, when we weren't paying attention? Hello, Viv Sparrow. Smooth Brain Nation, absolutely. You know what? It's not anything new either, conspiracy. We've all, you know, everyone gets smooth brain. It's just part of aging. Perfect. The definition of perfect. I find this very interesting. I hadn't looked this up for a while. Having all of the required or desirable elements, qualities, or characteristics as good as it is possible to be. What's I left the end of there? As good as it is possible. So already the word perfect offers up a definition of being it's okay to be flawed. Within the definition, it's telling us that this is bullshit. It doesn't actually exist. It's not real. It's something that's impossible. Or is it possible? Because apparently to Falcro, The word impossible basically says I'm possible if you ignore that there's no apostrophe. Right? You need to put that in there, Velcro. So does it actually exist or does it not? Because we still seem to be striving for it like it is some kind of, I don't know, light at the end of the tunnel. But all right, so what does imperfect mean? Imperfect. Well, this one's not as long. Not perfect, faulty or incomplete. Well, hang on, what? Faulty? Faulty? I don't like that. But I guess faulty, a product, if you're not talking about people, or are we faulty as well? Incomplete. Well, that's interesting too, isn't it? Incomplete. Especially when it comes to music, all right? So we'll go back. Let's think about this in musical terms. As good as it is possible. As good as it is possible. So you know what? I'll just release that as it is. I think that sounds good. That's good enough. Is that now the definition of perfect, good enough? As good as it is possible. Because I don't have any more time. So it's good enough. That's as good as it's going to be possible because I'm out of time. So that means, according to the Oxford Dictionary, it's perfect. So ultimately, our brains, our brains have gone into the that weird effect. We're living it every day, right? And imperfect means it's incomplete. Incomplete. Yet, perfect is okay if it's as good as possible. So let's break this down. Could it be that the English language is imperfect? I think so. And clearly it is, right? Clearly it is, because if it was perfect, wouldn't we be able to solve our problems by talking to each other and discussing things and having reasonable conversations and listening to each other and not dividing and freaking the fuck out over the small damn things? So does it exist? What do you think, guys? Let me know in the chat. While I say hello to those who have joined, Russ, Pookie, g'day my dear, and Greg O'Sullivan. Greg's coming on the show this week for an interview. The link's already up there, so if you want to go and hit the like to prepare to come and hang out with my man in the sky, please do so. Tell me, does it exist? Does perfection exist in your... Hey, Panda Cat, does it exist in your mind? And define it. What did you think it meant that it's as good as possible? Because I didn't. I hadn't even looked at it. Complete, finished for now. Yeah, that's the thing. You can complete something, and it doesn't mean like that's set in stone. I mean, I heard one of the greatest lines ever with my interview this week with Viv Sparrow. It's called a record for a reason. It's just a moment in time. It doesn't mean any. You know, nearly every musician who records something puts it out. There's a recording of that moment, and then as soon as you start playing it away from that recording, instantaneously it's different. 6 months later, it's something else, which proves that music is far from perfect. And, you know, let's talk about art. Let's jump straight over to art while hopefully some of you people tell us. Brad says, my mum says that there is perfection in imperfection, and because the imperfect evolves, it becomes perfect. Yeah. That's it. I like to call myself imperfectly perfect because I'm not perfect. But am I for my imperfections? This is just a snake chasing its own fucking tail. That's what it is. The quest, the never-ending quest for perfection right? So because there's two kind of perfections, I think. There's the one on the outer perfection, the one that we strive for on the outside that people see, right? And which, you know, to a degree can be attained and completed and manifested. But then there's that other one. You know the one? You know the one I'm talking about? The one in your head. You know that one? You know the one in your head, the one that keeps telling you you're not good enough, it's not perfect. That one's a bit harder, that one to deal with, because it's constantly there, and and it manifests in different ways. But art, let's skip that. We can come back to that at a later point. Wolfstone Studio Ron says, hi everyone, I don't have the skills or the talent to create perfection. I just try to do the best I can. If I waited for perfection, I wouldn't release anything. Well, do you know what, Ron? We just looked up the definition of perfection. That sounds like, to me, as good as it is possible. So, from the Oxford Dictionary, you're perfect. I'm blown away, right? I'm really blown away. I didn't think, I purposely didn't look up the meaning of it until the beginning of the show. I thought, you know what? Let's not look at it. I'll just mill some things around in my head, and then right before the show, I'll open up the definition and see actually what it says. And in my ever smoothing brain, I believed that it would be like, you know, no better than this. This is the standard, the gold standard. This is what Apple try to achieve with every goddamn product they put out. And it's all shiny and it looks good, but it's far from perfect. There's always problems. But all right, so finally I'll get to this point here about music and art and creativity. Some of the most famous works in the world are imperfect. In fact, one of the most famous paintings ever is this woman sitting there with this smile on her face, if you can call it that. It's one of the worst painted smiles in the world. Is it a smile? It's the Mona Lisa. It is utterly. It's, it's far from perfect, but revered. Revered, like, you know, it's the gold standard. It's not even a smile. I don't even know what it is. I don't even know what that expression is. I've never seen a human being actually express that mouth. So is that perfection? I think so. I think so, because it's utterly imperfect. Kurt Cobain, man. I think of Kurt Cobain all the time and go, man, that dude, he changed music for a period in our lives. And then you look at his performances and you can hear his voice cracking and straining. And if you're a vocal coach, you'd sit there and go, oh, what is he doing? Did he gargle glass before that show? What is happening? But for some reason, it resonated with so many people and so perfectly expressed what they were feeling. Why? Why did that resonate so much? Because it's imperfect, and it perfectly sums up our imperfections. You know, and it exactly, Kim, it sounded like I felt, right? For me, I listen to Mariah Carey, and she's got all the chops in the world. And I think, God, I hope I don't sound like that. A pretentious, stuffed up cow who got her way to the top of the music industry by putting a penis in her mouth. What is going on? But that's what I hear when I hear her sing. It is what it is. I don't hear, like all this talent and stuff. I just hear pretentious. This is someone who, it feels to me, this is someone who's desperately trying to be note for note perfect. Please let it be so perfect. And it is. It's so perfect on the recordings of somebody like Mariah Carey that when you see her live, come on, we've all seen the video of her singing at New Year's Eve when they dropped the ball, remember? She dropped the ball that night. You remember that in the chat? How bad she was? Oh, my God. They couldn't wait to get the camera off her. It was terrible because you can't be that perfect. You're going to be exposed. I mean, you can sit in a recording studio and throw every magical trick you have at your music and be like, listen how amazing that is. Nobody can doubt my vocal talents, right? And then live in front of the entire world, blurg, wah wah, you know? That's all I heard come out of her mouth that night. Let me scroll up and I seem to kicking off the week. Well, I'm dishing on some of the richest artists in the world. Ali says, when I create, I focus on making my art, whatever it is that flows through me and my heart. I don't strive for perfection in it. I strive for what my soul feels like it needs to create. Yes. Jenny says, don't let perfection be the enemy of the good or good enough. Kim says, my definition of perfect is the same as the one you read, but I add, knowing I've done my best for my current abilities. Yes, because abilities change. It's a beautiful painting, though, says Russ, around the face. Don't lie, Russ. You've told us in private that you really love to snog Mona Lisa. Music is a feeling, not just a set of chords. Absolutely. And, you record a set of feelings at that moment. And they will never define you. A song can't define you. Music, something you release can't define you because we're far more complex than the music that we release. It's just a snapshot of the complexity of our ever-smoothing brain, yeah? And that's okay, Imagine if we released the perfect song. What would be the point of releasing any more music? It's perfect. That's it. It's done. Exclamation point. See you later. Time to take up something new to perfect. SM Baldwin says, I always try to pitch for a minimum viable product, then build and improve where I can. I think I prefer unperfect. Yes, unperfect, imperfect. I love you too, Ali. I do. This is what this show's about. This is unfiltered, totally unfiltered. And if it upsets you, what can I say? I'm not perfect. Take me as I am. I wish I could F my way to the middle, not even the top. I'll take the middle. The middle is just fun. Why does everything revolve around you about having sex with it, Brad? It's an interesting thing. That Have you seen this, Brad? Yeah, I'd like to have sex with it. Okay. Kim says, I loved Mariah Carey when I was 10. I would try to sing like her. Yes, I loved that too. And then, no, I didn't love that. And you wore black bodysuits and everything. Oh, goodness me. All right. Let's move forward. So, from what I'm guessing, oh, hello, Leela and Hugh. I didn't see you there, Leela. What's going on? Falco says, oh, my God, I've never seen that before today. That was a bad day for Mariah. It was a bad day. But this is the thing. Like, I'm just picking on Mariah for shits and giggles, right? But, it happens to the best musicians in the world. not every gig's a clanger, yeah? Every performance. How many times have you performed, tried to do a recording? Not every day's a clanger. You know, you can't win them all. That's all right. It's how you get out of it, how you manipulate the situation, especially performing. If you're not at your I'm not going to say at your perfection, at your best. If you know you're not at your best, you can compensate. There's plenty of ways to compensate. Look, if there's anybody here who's played gigs before, let's talk about this scenario, right, around perfection. As a youngster, I always tried to do my perfect performance. Hi, Feisty. Driving as usual. So I would always try and be my very best and try and put on the most crazy performance. I still do it now on the opening hours, even when I'm not feeling good at all, right? And I would finish that performance and I'd finish a performance and it wouldn't be up to snuff. Like my voice was terrible. I had the flu, whatever it was, if there was something. And I knew going into it, it wouldn't be good. So you try to compensate for other things that you can't actually do. And if it's singing, if you're the singer and you're not able to sing to your fullest, well, I would maybe pull a machete out on stage and like start cutting my arm or something. Because like, look over here, everybody. Don't realize that I'm not singing my best. But it was always the gigs where I would get off the stage and go, oh man, in my head was going, that was the worst gig I've ever played. And I tell you what always happens. Every single comes up to you after the gig and goes, that was the best show I've seen you do. And I'm not talking, I'm talking people who have been at every show and know you personally and know you have perfection issues. And you're always criticizing yourself and trying to be perfect. And it's like, how can you not see that was one of the worst gigs ever? Are you just like trying to make me feel better? Because guess what? It's not working. You should know that was shit. That was terrible. But it happens all the time. It is. It's irony, and it happens all the time. You know? It's the same thing with let me say hello to DJ Cthulhu. It's the same thing with when bands release music and go, this is definitely going to be the big hit. This is the perfect song. This is the one that everyone's going to love. They're going to love this. And then you release your music, and it's never the case. It's always the song that you put on the album half-assed and went, this'll do. We'll just throw this one on at the end. I hope we don't have to play this song much because it's not very good. And then your album comes out and every motherfucker goes, oh, that song's wicked. And then before long you're on stage and everyone's yelling, play the song that sucks. Play the song that sucks. And you're like, I don't fucking want to. I'm going to be stuck playing this for the rest of my life. Hotel California. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of bands who say this. There's a lot of really big bands who talk about this phenomenon of like, that song is like it's the poo. It's not perfect. It's not even, I didn't even want it on there. It's just a filler. But what happens is people hear it and they go, that's the perfect song. It's perfect for them. Somehow it reaches them. So obviously perfection is a self-imposed standard for a lot of us, yeah? Because the definition, as we know now, is having all the required or desirable elements, qualities or characteristics as good as it is possible to be. So we already know that. So it seems like it's a self-imposed standard that we put upon ourselves. I mean, because in your day-to-day job, right, you've got things like KPIs, goals and tasks you have to reach. They're okay. Like, they're just like things you have to get to, you know. I'll tell you one thing about perfection. I've worked in my past at a lot of call centers. And, you know, we're talking about KPIs. They have these KPIs, these numbers you have to reach so you can get bonuses. You know, because they want to know that you're actually not just sitting there in front of a computer with a headset on, just picking your ass all day. They want to know that you're actually taking calls and getting results. Well, every one of them, every call center that I'd ever worked at has this pretty casual scale of perfection of like, 80% good enough. Until I worked for a company called American Express, where their surveys that they would send out to people, so you would take a call and then they would send a survey out to the customer afterwards. Sorry, in American Express, we don't call them customers, we call them card members, because customer means lower form of pond scum. Anyway, we'd send a survey out to the card member, and they'd rate you out of 10. And if you got a 9, that was a fail. That was a fucking fail. You couldn't any lower than 10, fail. And it was like, I remember when I first got those standards, and we were doing the training at work, and the training was not easy. I've had jobs that were had far more responsibilities, and the training was maybe like 3 weeks. But American Express training was 12 weeks of training. And I remember looking to the person next to me who I'd been learning and going, is that, do they really expect 10 out of 10 for every call? Like, is that for real? And funnily enough, looking back now, I did really well at that job, because it doesn't take a lot to get a 10 out of 10. All it really took was fix the problem, and then as you hang up the call, tell the card member something about their stupid little card that they have that they possibly didn't know about. And that was really easy, because a lot of credit card companies don't send you information about your cards because they want you to get in debt. Fuck up. It's a perfect business plan. Hello, Shelley. I'm glad you're enjoying these shows. Hello, Ed Zielinski. A perfect song is the one where your vision is fulfilled and adding or removing stuff would detract from it. Man, I'm going to get to the point about my perfection issues with music. I don't leave home without my card, ever. I'm just looking through comments. So, yeah, American Express, they believe perfection is a thing. And, yeah, and there were lots of people who really couldn't do it, because I think having that hanging over your head was really a thing for very triggering for a lot of people. Barry Glenn, who just had a birthday yesterday, says, when I was gigging regularly, I always strive to get through the evening with no mistakes, never. And it never happened. I just got better at disguising the mistakes. That is it. You perfected hiding the mistakes, and you have to. You definitely have to do that. It is a skill that people should learn. And it's not even like mistakes, right? It's just sometimes, some days, you are just incapable of being at that level. You just can't do it. And being able to understand what you can and can't do realistically on that particular moment allows you to modify your performance. For example, as a singer, I do this all the time on the live streams here on the channel in the opening hour. Excuse me. Now, just hold that thought. Hold that thought, because we've come to that moment, folks, and I know, where I am contracted by YouTube to run an ad, because that is how YouTube content creators make money here on YouTube. And now these days I run the ad and let you know in advance so you don't miss anything, and I can take a collective sip from my coffee, and then when you come back from the ad, if that is, you don't own YouTube Premium, which you can get for for the price that it is in your particular country. So let's run that ad right now. You may see it or you may not, depending on how it is served. That ad has now been ran. So we'll give it a few moments. I have a coffee. I love doing the ads. Because, I'll tell you about that. I know the advertising system here on YouTube is not perfect. If it was perfect, I wouldn't need to run it manually. And what would happen was, it would run when, and it would like stop the show, and then you'd come back and not miss anything. But this is the way we have to do it. We have to work around it. So hopefully you're back from the ad if you did get served one. So performance, yeah, this happens all the time on the opening hour for me. I know ahead, I'm not feeling it. I don't think I can hit those notes today. So what'll I do? I'll get to that part of the song, sing the exact same notes, but down an octave. And you know what? It doesn't matter. It's still in tune, still the same song. Like I haven't fluffed it up. It's just an octave lower because that's okay. But that's the thing. Does it sound perfect? It's up to you. You know, it's up to the listener and their personal taste to sit back and go, I don't know, you could have sung it in the right octave. Maybe I could next week, but right now I can't. So I'm just going to do this. But I'm not going to sit there and worry about it and go, hey, everybody, sorry at the end of that song I sung it in an octave lower, the chorus, because, you know what I'm saying? Where are we up to here? So we talked about American Express being a bunch of perfection Nazis. So there we go. Perfection Nazis, American Express. Oh, God, I'm offending everybody today. Hello, sunshine. Yeah, so when you're playing music, don't be afraid to muff things, to change it up if you're unable to do it, if you're unable to manifest it in the perfect way that you wanted. Hugh Caldwell says, I recorded an instrumental that I think is near perfect, but it was improvised. And I was in the moment. Probably won't be able to repeat it. Yes, come on. How many times? You know, let's get a push. Should I do a poll? I can't be bothered. Take too much time. But how many times have you been recording music? And we all love these. The happy mistakes. Are they perfection? Because I can't tell you how many times happy mistakes now in songs that I listen to, I go, that's my favourite bit. That's my goddamn favourite bit of the song, right? And I remember when I recorded it, I went, oh my God, that sounds shit. But somehow, because it's two vocal takes and the way they double up, the way that, you know, when you double separate takes of vocals, for some reason, the resonance in them just creates this super note that shouldn't exist. And if I tried to do it again, it wouldn't happen. It's just, it was in that moment, it was in that second that my voice cracked a little bit. And the way it matches with the previous take, it goes, and it just, fucking hell. That's the shit. That's the shit you can't. You can practice and practice, and you can watch a million YouTube videos from the experts. You know those guys, the experts on YouTube? You know, who when you go to their channels, they've got 250 videos on how to be the best at something, but then they don't have any products out on anything that they've actually made except for YouTube videos on how to be the best at something. They don't talk about the happy mistakes, you know, which are, in my opinion, in the music industry, why so much music that was recorded back on tape in the day, back on analog recordings, sounded so fucking wicked. Because you really didn't have the option to go and just go, no, we'll just go over it again. And so much luck happens with tape. Like, this is why, too, I often say this on the show. Like, I'll review an app and go, well, here's a new tape mangler. And then think, why the fuck in 2023 Are we like investing in products that ruin our sound and take it back to like 40 years ago? Well, there's something in that imperfection that I think our smoothing brains realize, that all this digital technology that we have now and how everything's also, perfect and quantized. Is it perfect? Does it sound perfect? Sometimes I think with a lot of music, quantizing and all that stuff sounds too perfect, and then it sounds lifeless. So I'm going to pose this, talking about, and now that we've moved on to this section of like creativity and perfection, because I see a lot of people get upset about AI, right? And like AI is going to take jobs and AI is going to do all this, and people are. But is AI like going to get too perfect? Or is it going to give us an opportunity to go back to creating the imperfect music that is the stuff that resonates? Glenn Fricker says this on his show all the time. He's like, fucking drums, they all sound the same. Everybody's got the same tone. AI could be something really eye-opening for us and really snap us into reality, to unsnap from the timeline. Because we are at the point now with music that everything snaps to a timeline. Everything's perfect. Everything's this. Everything's that. So there's a lot of merit in why we have all these apps coming out that mangle sound and destroy sound and replicate the tape chewing sound or the hiss, because it adds spice and character, and it's imperfect and it's gritty and it's real and it's like fucking life. Because life isn't perfect. That's the thing. You get up one day, everything's fucking great. The next day you're in a fucking hospital. And they're telling you you're going to fucking die. You get up one day, you've just met the hottest person in your life and you fucked them all night long, and you walk out the door straight into a bus, because life isn't perfect. But even when tragedy and stuff like that happens, perfection, having all the required or desirable elements, qualities or characteristics as good as it is possible. As good as it is possible. Hello, Pete Johns. Hello, Peter. Hello, Tremor Bear. There's a bunch of you I've missed. Hello, Clarence. Lady Campion. Hello. I'm ranting today, aren't I? Sunshine. Hello. I'm kind of missing some of your comments because I'm going on a bender. Nino, what's happening? Good to see you. Shelley. I'm trying to catch people. Lady Campion says, most of my vocals are done in one take, and I couldn't do the same thing again without trying really hard. The improvisations are usually better than the first time. Exactly. They're moments. Moments come and go like that. And not every one of them is perfect, let me tell you that. Not every moment is perfect. And if you're expecting every moment to be perfect, then let me tell you, you're not going to have fun. Because it's the fun. The fun is this. It's the wave. That's the wave. That's the hunger. That's the excitement, the adrenaline, right? The ups and downs. That's what keeps things interesting. In life, my motto is I realize through my experiences that these are good. These waves are good. The ups and downs, the ebbs and flows. It's when they're like this that they suck. That you'll never get a life that's just smooth cruising. But you can manifest to some degree some smooth sailing with a little bit of ripples. But when those big waves come, that's when we see true perfection. Because the world we live in, look around at the world. The world is a perfect example of perfection. Because it's raucous, it's wild, it can kill you in a second. It's beautiful. It's evolving and growing. It's breathing. It's moving underneath. It's fighting back. It's being defeated. It's everything. And without it, we don't exist, right? Because we need to be standing on something. And the way it is resilient as well and can have like a forest stripped back to nothing and can grow back. And the way it, the lava and everything works underneath the ground and moves around and disperses to different parts and plates move around to release pressure. That's us. That's a representation of us. Is it far from perfect? In our eyes, it's like, oh my God, there's an earthquake. That's so bad. But no, that's something that needs to happen. It's perfect. So, hindsight. We're getting to the end of this crazy rant. Hindsight is a very interesting thing, isn't it? Because when we go through these things that like incredibly painful and we think, oh man, why can't things just be better? Why is this happening? Like, why can't things be a bit more perfect? Like, this sucks. They do get better. The wave continues to move. They may not be the same as what things were, you know, when you think, oh, but back then things, it was perfect back then. For instance, getting sick. I can talk from experience there. I remember in 2015, I was on a high. I was rocking it. I was working as a dominatrix. I had a wallet full of cash. I had Botox in my face. I was traveling everywhere. I was whipping dudes, telling them they were scum and spitting on them and pulling away $2,000. I thought life was brilliant. And then one night, bang, I got a blood nose and everything changed. And then for the next few years, I gave up. I totally gave up on everything. I was like, I might as well be dead. I've lost everything. I've lost my looks. I'm forced to go on all these steroids. Everything sucks. It's pointless. I'll never be perfect again. I always thought I was heading on this path of being perfect. And now in hindsight, it's such a fascinating thing in hindsight because I sit here now day in and day out here on this YouTube channel around so many of you, fantastic people, fantastic musicians. And I work like a dog and it's all worth it, right? Because if none of that had have happened, none of that stuff that I thought, fuck, right? I wouldn't be doing this. And I'm at one of the best places I've ever been in my life. And sure, all that shit's still there. The blood noses are still there, all that crap. But it depends on how much power you want to give that. And I try not to because it's meant to happen. It's as good as it is possible to be. Which, again, according to the Oxford Dictionary, is perfection. I got a blood nose. That's perfect. And I'm a Virgo, right? And I went on Development of a Void's channel last night when he was talking about astrology. And the conversation ended really quickly. I'll tell you why it ended quickly. Because astrology, people get labelled with their star sign as being a bunch of character traits. Right? And some people go, oh, I could never be around that person because they're a this. Oh, they're a that. People don't, like, you know, our characteristics and who we are aren't based on a fucking star sign. It's so easily crushed. It's okay to believe in stuff like that and have, you know, things like that. But I'm a Virgo, and apparently we're a bunch of neat freaks who are perfectionists. And I don't know if you've seen my house sometimes. But when I go downstairs, I don't walk down and go, Virgo, look, I never have to clean again. No. No. And for the longest time, that stupid star sign thing, I would see it all the time. People go, oh, you're a Virgo. You know what they say about Virgos? And I'd be like, no, what do they say? Well, you're a perfectionist and you're very neat. And I'd be like, come home, feel free to take a crap in my toilet and tell me how neat I am then. And while you're there, you can feel free to clean my toilet for me. Oh, no, you don't have to. I'm a Virgo. I'm perfect. And what an unnecessarily stupid standard to have to live up to. But it's also a great crutch, isn't it? We were talking about this on a development show last night. So many people will be like, well, you know what? My perfection comes down to me being a Virgo. Oh, really? You sure it's just not? You sure it's not this that you're scared, or you like got a lot of shit going around in your brain and you talk yourself into fear and stuff? All right, it's all based around some month in the year that you were born in. That apparently a few years ago changed when they added an extra star sign. So how does that working for you now with 13 star signs? You can't use that one, can you, dickhead? So, I'm a Virgo. I'm not a perfectionist. I'm not a neat freak. I'm just me. How do we let go of this stuff? That's the final thing we need to know. How do we let go? I'll tell you how you let go. Just don't give a fuck. Just be you. Just be your authentic self. You know what? Because people aren't going to like it, and those people will just fuck off into the sunset. Be you. And still criticize yourself. That's okay. But just don't dwell on it. There's too much time. You know, people say there's not enough time in this lifetime, but there is a lot of time. You know what? And we spend a lot of time in our lifetime spending on trying to be perfect and then criticizing and just hammering home, but I could be better. No, that time is better spent loving your flaws. Taking them out to dinner. Buying them chocolates. Taking them to bed. Fuck your perfection. Literally. Love it. Love it. Your imperfection. Who's got time to worry? Yeah? Just keep doing it. Because I say this all the time on the show. There's a reason I say it. Mistakes make you better. They don't make you perfect, but they make you better. But only if you allow yourself to acknowledge them. Yeah? Acknowledge them. Yell them from the rooftop. I fucked up. I made a mistake. I could probably do better. But if I don't, there's always tomorrow. Be kinder to yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Because everybody's brain is smoothing out each day. Listen, we're born from a box. We're put in a box. Hang on, let me start again. We're born from a box. In a building shaped like a box. Then we learn in another box. And then we get a job in another box. And we spend all of our lives trying to get out of that box to express ourselves. Because those boxes are teaching us to be as perfect as we possibly can. And once you escape the box, that is where the real perfection shines. Because you don't have a lot of time once you find a way out of those boxes before your brain goes completely smooth and they put you in a box in the ground. Today's featured artist is Kim Hudson. And this song is amazing. And everything that Kim puts out is amazing. And she puts in a lot of thought, sometimes a little bit too much. But that is as good as it will possibly be. So do the things that make you happy, folks. Mistakes make you better, and we'll all rise together. Let's go out and play today's featured artist, one of my favourite artists, Kim Hudson. And I'll dump you over at Pete Johns' Your Music Live, where he's going to play your perfectly imperfect music for the next 2 hours. Love you all. Hope you hang out for the next week. We've got some great shows coming up. Tomorrow, I'm going to be recording a music video acting on camera. It should be a barrel of fun if it works. This is Nothing Right by Kim Hudson.
Everything is faded and frayed. All the things you thought would never break. You won't die if you cry. If you don't, then you might. This isn't what I saw in a dream, so I internalized, but it was never about me. Imagine my surprise. I should have been the river, but I was a stone. All the water rushed around me, and I never felt so alone. How do you see that I've grown? This isn't what I had in mind. I wrapped myself inside. I swear you did nothing wrong. I did nothing right. This isn't what I had in mind. Still, I can try. I swear you did nothing wrong. I did nothing right.
We'll all rise together, 'cause you make me shine better.